Welcome to On the Beat, everyone. I'm Troy Thompson. Joining me today is Will Cooper from Crowell, Gillis and Cooper, and we're talking all about the mandatory COVID vaccinations. Welcome to the show, my friend.
It's good to be back.
We had some viewers call into us and wanted to ask some questions in regards to this mandatory vaccination now. The first one is, as mandatory COVID vaccinations become more widespread, Will, many employers are asking what they can do if workers refuse. It's a good point.
It's a very good question. Just recently, President Biden has passed an executive order that requires all businesses with over 100 employees to have their employees vaccinated, or if they refuse not to be subject to a weekly COVID test and wear a mask at all times while in the building. So that just happened recently. So the question is, what do you do if they refuse? There are a lot of businesses out there with less than 100.
Of course.
And so what you have to do is, if they refuse, if you're going to implement that policy, then those employers need to know what the law says about when you may have to accommodate people that refuse. Okay,
but you can't fire them for not
You can.
That's what, even if you have less than 100 staff.
Absolutely. A federal court in Mississippi, or a federal court in the United States, has already ruled that a large hospital can fire its employees for not being vaccinated because they create a direct risk or pose a hazard to fellow workers and patients. So here's the kicker. What are the limitations?
Well, yes.
You know, what
I was busting to get that out, Will.
Yes, so you can be fired, but the limitations are this. The Americans with Disabilities Act says that an employer can institute a policy that you can fire an employee who causes a health risk to other employees.
Well, that's part of me,
which makes
sort of
sense.
Fair.
So then, but if under the ADA, for example, if I have an immune deficiency, therefore I don't need to can't take the vaccine.
Yes.
In order for you to fire me, you have to prove that you can't reasonably accommodate my employment, i.e., send me home to work, put me in a separate location.
Got you.
Do things that would allow me to continue to work. But here's the kicker. If you can't reasonably accommodate that person with a disability, then you can terminate them for refusing.
Wow.
Next exception. There's a religious exception under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. A sincere held religious belief may give you an exception to being vaccinated. Once again, though, it falls on, can you give them a reasonable accommodation? And under Title VII and under the ADA, a reasonable accommodation is tested as, is it going to cause a hardship on the employer? If it's going to cause a substantial hardship, once again, you can be terminated. You can for sure be sent home and required to stay at home or put on leave.
How is an employee protected if they refuse?
They have to find one of those exceptions.
You just got to find one.
You have to find one of those exceptions, and under this new federal guideline with over 100 employees, you know, there is an exception. You can be tested every week and wear a mask at all times, but if you refuse and you don't fall under one of those exceptions, then you can be terminated.
Why do you think there's such a reluctance to people not wanting to get the vaccination because they're being told they have to? What's your gut tell you about that?
Well, so much of it is only one of the vaccines now has been approved by the FDA, and that's Pfizer. So there's some people that are against that. Then there are most, and we see this in the South, people don't want to be told that they have to do something. Yeah. And that's a big factor here.
That's the claw. We appreciate you, Will. Thank you so much. If you want to find out more information, there it all is up on the screen for you. Crowell, Gillis and Cooper. And of course, we've been talking to Will Cooper.